Now let's talk about medical malpractice. In Tennessee, over the last few years, the attorneys for the doctors and the insurance companies have gone to Nashville and lobbied the legislature to make the rules on suing for medical malpractice very difficult, in my opinion. And if you're not careful, you're not going to be able to bring a medical malpractice lawsuit because you didn't follow the rules correctly. In a medical malpractice case in Tennessee now, before you can file a lawsuit, you need to give the other side notice that you're going to file a lawsuit. And that means usually the doctor or the hospital. A medical malpractice action is where you receive medical treatment that fell below the standard of care that is required in this community for that type of procedure. Not every injury you receive from a doctor is medical malpractice. If the doctor is working on your gallbladder and cuts another part of your anatomy by accident and you get sick because of it, that may not be medical malpractice. There's certain things that are just things that might happen during medical procedures that I guess the courts consider that it's just a risk that you have to take, and it's not medical malpractice. In other words, the doctor's actions or his treatment did not fall below the standard of care that he has to provide, reasonable standard of care. But if you believe that the doctor's actions fell below reasonable standard of care, you can bring a medical malpractice action. But you need to move quickly. First of all, the statute of limitations is a short period of time in Tennessee. Some states are 3 years. Tennessee is 1 year. Within that 1 year, you need to be able to explain what happened, and you have to be able to give the other side written notice, filed and served and mailed the proper way to the exact right people or defendants, and you have to give them a medical release form filled out correctly, directing the medical providers to have access to your medical records so that they can take a look at what happened and decide whether the statutes is the intent was so they can decide whether to settle with you without filing a lawsuit. Most of the time, they just try to find out ways that you've done the notice or the paperwork the wrong way, and that's their defense. So you have to be very careful and make sure that all of this is done correctly. You have to give a notice, and then if you give a notice, you have to wait 60 days before you can file a lawsuit. Now, the one good thing about giving the notice is if you do that within the 1 year time of your statute running, then your statute is extended another 120 days. In other words, you have another extra 120 days to file a lawsuit, but you have to wait 60 days before you can file that lawsuit. There was a very good lawyer here in town that waited 59 days and didn't file the lawsuit, didn't wait that extra day. He was a very good lawyer, but that case was kicked out. And the doctors walked away with no problem, with no punishment towards them or no consequences, because the lawyer only waited 59 days instead of 60 days. So that's how very complicated medical malpractice can be. Medical malpractice can be any kind of activity by a healthcare provider that falls below the standard of care in this community. And so one of the next things you have to do is have to find a doctor that can qualify as an expert, that can testify about what the standard of care is in this community and render an opinion that the doctor's activity fell below the standard of care. You have to have a good faith letter filed when you file a lawsuit saying that you do have a doctor that has looked at the case and he has indicated that there is medical malpractice. So that's another thing you have to file a medical malpractice lawsuit. There are several different ways medical malpractice can come about. I have one particular case where a person was not treated properly while he was a prisoner in jail. And because of the lack of proper care, he died. That can be medical malpractice, even within a penal institution. Another type of medical malpractice can be just performing a procedure that causes damage and the doctor's standard of care was deficient, or he rendered inappropriate standard of care. So every case is different. If you think you have a standard of care problem or the doctor did not do what was required of him in this community, give me a call and we'll talk about it. Thank you.